Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering the Decent Christian Talk podcast. Enjoy.
Here we are, episode 11 of the Decent Christian Talk podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us each and every time that we post. We really enjoy interacting with you guys. It's really fun to see how far this has grown in a short period of time. We've crossed over 16,000 followers on the Twitter feed on DC Talk Act 2. And we just continue to grow. Another way that we've grown is we're sponsoring a new festival in the state of West Virginia this year. In the city of Morgantown, if you're in the area, you need to check out Soul Fuel WV. Got a great lineup for the first year featuring David Crowder, Colton Dixon, Trip Lee, Mary Mary, and many, many other local artists and speakers. You'll need to get your tickets right now at soulfuelwv.com. This is a great festival you'll want to check out if you're in the Morgantown, West Virginia area. Even if you're in Pittsburgh, just drive on down and hang out with us for the weekend, July 22nd through the 24th. It's going to be a great time. Again, thank you for listening. Check us out on iTunes. We're also on YouTube and SoundCloud, and I believe we're on Stitcher now for all of you people out in Android land. Check us out on Stitcher. If you do have us on iTunes, I encourage you to write us a nice review. We've not gotten very many reviews. I know there's a lot more people that are listening than have reviewed, so I would really encourage you guys to help us out by doing that. That really helps us out. And again, check out soulfuelwv.com to hang out with us July 22nd through the 24th, along with David Crowder, Trip Lee, Colton Dixon, and Mary Mary. I've got an exciting episode for you today featuring Christian hip-hop artists young Noah and Andy Mineo. These are interviews that we've done over the last month. Really exciting to talk to these guys who are just really doing their best to move Christian hip-hop into a new level. This is a genre that I grew up listening to and just kind of wished that would kind of turn the corner when it comes to quality-wise, and they really have done that over the last couple of years. And these are two great artists that are an example of that. We're going to play the interviews for you and come back and talk to you a little bit more about some of the new music that we've listened to over the last couple of months. So thank you for joining us. Without further ado, this is the 11th episode of the Decent Christian Talk podcast.
All right, hit that horn, babe. Let's dance.
Oh, we got a long way to go. There's no going back to the life we lived, the life we used to know.
All right. So, here with young Noah.
What's going on?
Where are you from?
From Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
You a Braves fan?
I am definitely an Atlanta sports fan, but our sports team seem to be under a curse, and we can't exactly win anything.
I grew up with the Greg Maddux, Glavine, John Smoltz era. So,
nice.
Yeah, I have a big Chipper. My last name is Jones, and my wife got me an old Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones.
Yeah.
That boy is Jesus in Atlanta.
So you're on this big monstrosity of a tour with the Newsboys and Audio Adrenaline. What's it like being on this tour?
Man, it's crazy. It's just a new level, a new height of exposure for sure. I just feel grateful to God to be able to be a part of it. My management team took a chance on me and were like, hey, let's put Noah on this tour and see how he does. And it's been awesome because the crowd has just responded so well to the hip-hop, so, yeah.
Now, you're kind of like the guinea pig of this. You're like the first guy that they signed to this new label.
Yeah, man, it's
Do you feel the pressure of that?
I mean, I felt the pressure of wanting to succeed, not only for myself, but for, make God proud more than anything. He's the one I'm aiming to please, and he's taught me time and time again that, he's in control of my future, not people. God uses people to give, opportunities, and I just feel grateful to be selected by God to be this person on this tour and with this company. And it's just a management deal, you know. There are record label talks in the future, but right now I'm still independent. Just got a management team that just can make major moves now, so it's a blessing.
You working with Chris Chicago?
Yeah, Chris Chicago is the general manager, but there are like 3 different managers on the team, and so he's over the level change division of First Company. So Chris Chicago is the go-to guy for me, and it just trickle down the information. So I've been just learning the new avenues I'm walking in, and just grateful to God to be really a part of this team, you know, to have a team, to have support, to have somebody making things happen for you, and it's not just me by myself anymore. So super grateful for that.
You just released an EP. Talk to me a little bit about that.
This EP, man, it's got the new single "Long Way to Go" featuring Audio Adrenaline that just blew up all over billboards. Everybody's like surprised by how well this song is done, and the EP is just a couple songs, a couple jams, 6 songs that I just fell in love with, and it's called Young Forever. And the topic and the goal is to get people to focus on eternal things, to have an eternal perspective on life, and not just focus on the present or the earthly things. I really wanted people to realize that when Jesus comes, we'll live forever with him, and we'll be young forever. So that's the name.
Okay, you're on tour with Michael Tate, who's like the most probably the most important African American figure in CCM history.
Wow.
I mean, if you think about it, there's not a whole lot of them.
I never really thought of it that way.
So, I mean, what have you learned from him during the short stint so far?
He's just a man of God, you know. He pulled me to the side, the 3rd or 4th show, and, we just started to talk about how the grace of God is so great, you know, and how despite our frailties, despite our shortcomings, God just blesses and blesses and blesses. And he's just been being around him, you feel nervous. You're like, man, this is freaking Michael Tate. Oh my goodness. And so the other night, he had flew to the next gig, and he let me and Ryan Stevenson just crash at his house. Oh, wow. So we pull up at his house, and we're just like, he's like, staying in the guest room, and he's just really opened up, and he makes me feel welcome. He's like, you ever in Nashville, you need a place to stay, holler at me. I mean it. I'm not just saying it. I mean what I say. And so to have somebody that's such a freaking rock star. Yeah, I mean, his stage Christian music, alone, you could probably learn from. Yeah, just pull you to the side, speak to you, know your name, encourage you, hug you, you know what I mean, and just be there is a blessing, And so as the tour goes on, I'm sure we'll have more talks, but I'm just glad he's approachable, humble guy, and just super in love with Jesus.
How long are you on this tour?
Man, this tour goes until May 1st, and then we kick off another one in September. That's actually 40 dates, and I'll have a larger set on that tour, and I'm just super excited. So pretty much for the rest of the year, I'll be just on the road, 90 dates. I probably got like 84 dates left that I haven't done, and it's just a new life, to past couple of weeks, I've probably just performed in front of more people than I have in the past 2 years, since the Flame era. And so it's just a blessing to be, I feel restored. I feel like God has released me to really just be a minister. And it's been a long time coming, so I'm super grateful.
How can fans stay in touch with you?
Man, realyoungnoah.com, Real Young Noah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that's the tag. So hit me up, message me, talk to me, and get my music. Young Forever, iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music.
Buy the album, people.
Buy the album, but if you're a streamer, I'm not mad at you. Do your thing.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I got to start this out with this question. I've talked to KB, Tadashi, Tripoli, Derek Minor. The majority of them would say if they had a basketball game and they were the captain, they would pick Lecrae first. Do you want to defend yourself here?
Yeah, I would say, you can't teach height. so I understand why they'd go with the first pick there. But what you can teach is a jump shot, and that's something I have on deck.
That's what Triple E said. Derek Minor actually said if he could pick himself first, he would pick himself. But anyway,
what an arrogant jerk.
So you're on the Uncomfortable tour, starting the second leg. This is the first tour that you've headlined. Do you feel any pressure being like the head guy on the marquee, being the guy on the card?
Yeah, of course, for lots of reasons. One, because if the show goes bad, it all reflects on you. And then, two, if the show goes bad, all the finances reflect on you too, You take all the big financial risks to be able to do it, while the openers and everybody else guaranteed to get paid every night, So it's a lot more pressure. Also just the pressures of leading a tour, being like the leader of the tour and the guy on the bus. And, I kind of feel responsible for everybody that's out on the road. And so me and my wife spend a lot of time thinking through and praying through how to be really good leaders out there and set the tone for the whole thing. Because, I really believe it starts from the top down. So if I got a bad attitude or I'm anxious or any of those things, it'll trickle through the rest of the tour. And never want that to happen,
Yeah. So there's been a lot of racial tension in this country, especially with this election. And hip-hop has kind of been the vehicle with that. As a white guy in the game, what is your role in that?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. We've seen other white guys explore this stuff like Macklemore. And it's difficult, really, to talk about privilege and to try to explain these things to people that are typically really like almost indoctrinated by their surroundings, And in a country as big as ours, with as many different, places and cultures and people, certain areas are more condensed in particular cultures than others, like the coasts. The coasts seem to be very diverse and open-minded because there's so much interaction with people of other race and colors and creeds and thinking processes and religions, while other parts of the country, in a lot of ways, are recluse. So having these conversations is tough because they usually get they warrant more than 140 characters, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So talking about these things on social media is usually tough because a lot of those things get misconstrued. But my voice in music, I think for me, is to just encourage conversation, to continue to point people in the direction that I can, to say, have deeper conversations with people that don't look like you. Engage more deeply with people that think differently than you, and approach conversations with humility, So, but I am very aware of it in music, and that I have privilege even in my music being white. I pay respect to everybody who came before me and the artists who did their thing, to allow me to be able to do this.
Mm. Speaking of 140 characters, you asked a open-ended question recently about profanity that got a little controversy. How do you deal with the backlash of that as a Christian, as opposed to maybe someone else that might?
Yeah, I think as a Christian, I think I'm called to bear with my brothers and sisters. And so I know that as I'm arguing with some people, or they're condemning me for asking questions and trying to prod deeper conversation. I think one of the things I just always try to keep in mind is that, my views are often a lot bigger than just being my views, because I represent something much bigger than myself. And that's a tough thing to consider, when you just say, hey man, I just want to have a conversation about this thing, and it stirs up controversy. Sometimes I forget that the culture puts a lot of attention on a handful of guys to be the leading voices and stuff, and I have to sometimes take a higher road, or, refrain from some of the liberties I have to talk about things or to engage certain topics in order that I could just be a better leader. And that's tough.
Seeing, believing is black magic from demons. Turn believers into heathens. Think to heretical teaching. This gift got me receiving proper preaching from the deacon. Got me seeking for meaning from the supreme being. Cause I don't just want to read them.
All right, here we are. We are so excited about those interviews. I hope you enjoyed them. It's really exciting to talk to those guys and just see their heart about things. Young Noah, first of all, we'd really like to thank Young Noah for just inviting us on tour with him at a local place here in West Virginia. We got to hang out with him and a lot of other people on tour, including the Newsboys. It was really, really cool to see him on the big stage. He has a stage that a lot of guys don't get to experience, and I'm excited to see where he goes, especially this fall when he gets to play some more songs on tour. I'm also excited about Andy Mineo being a headliner. That's a big deal, honestly, because he's been in the role of opener for Lecrae for the past year, and he's really put together a really good show, and definitely shows that he has matured and he's in the right place as a headliner. Couple other hip hop news is the release of a new record from NF called Therapy Session. He has released a few singles over the last month or so. Really excited about this sophomore release from NF, as well as another release from the Social Club, and now they're called the Social Club Misfits. They just got signed to Capitol Records, which is the same label as NF. So that's really a big deal. It's another example of record companies just accepting that Christian hip-hop is successful. It's selling records. It's one of the few industries that has grown over the last few years, or genres anyway, one of the few genres that has grown over the last few years. So that's exciting to see that. I've always liked Social Club. They're going to release an EP called The Misfit Generation. I'm really excited to hear what they have in store for us on their debut release on a major label. I'm sure that they'll live up to the hype of that. It's really exciting to hear that. A couple other news, non-hip-hop related. There's been a few bands that have announced that they're going to release albums this year. First of all, Switchfoot announced that they're going to release their 10th record this summer. And anybody that knows me knows that I absolutely love Switchfoot, and I'm excited to see what John Foreman and company have in store for us. A couple other bands, the legendary Relient K announced that they have a record in store for us in July called Air for Free. Really excited about this. They worked with Mark Townsend. He was the guitar player for DC Talk. He produced this record. They worked really hard on this. Matt Thiessen and Matt Hoops are really, really creative when it comes to the music industry, and I'm just really excited. I hope that this album is a little bit better than the last one. And I didn't really care for the last two, to be honest. But I'm excited for this nonetheless. Need to Breathe also announced that they are releasing a record called Hard Love, also in July. I can't say that Need to Breathe is my favorite band in the world, but I cannot deny that they sell records. They are important when it comes to Christian music, and they are not one of those cookie-cutter groups. So from that aspect, I'm definitely excited to see what this album is going to be. There's been a couple other records that have hinted that they might come out. Paper Route, I'm excited to hear from them. It's been a while since we've heard from them. Can't remember if I mentioned the Union of Sinners and Saints coming out in June. This is going to be one of the most one of the craziest bands ever, as they are actually a supergroup with members of Petra and Whiteheart. So that kind of goes back in time for a lot of people. They might not even know who they are, but I'm excited for that, for sure. Anyway, I think that's probably about it for news. Definitely wanted to share a couple things from what we learned at the Newsboys show that we went to. They named the tour "God's Not Dead, We Believe" tour, which is, and I understand that they this is kind of still coming off the hype of God's Not Dead 2 that just released in theaters. But I think that this kind of echoed my worry about the Love Riot record that just didn't seem to hit where they wanted it to. And I admit I was a little disappointed with it, primarily because there was a couple spots in this record that I just saw that I just thought that they should go a different route with a lot of the songs. I heard some interviews with some of the band that they wanted to create an album that was not something that you just hear on the radio every day. But to be honest with you, I would say that over 60% of the album is just that. It's just regular stuff that you hear on the radio every day. But there are glimpses of what they could be on this album, and I just kind of wish that they would go that route. And that's just me. I know a lot of people still enjoy them. A lot of people enjoyed that album, but it just was not my favorite. And I think something that we should mention before we sign off here is DC Talk member Kevin Max has a pledge campaign going on right now for Playing Games with the Shadows. This is a release that you can pretty much get the whole album as soon as you pledge. There are 8 songs on this album right now. He has said that he might add a few more as time goes by, and that this is one of those deals where you'll get the song emailed to you once he completes the album. But there's a lot of really good things that you can get on this pledge music campaign. This is one of the more interactive kind of types of pledge campaigns. Of course, you can just buy the album straight up. There's a few other things that you can buy. There's a level where you can buy just the digital copy. There's a level where you can buy the CD. You can get a signed CD. You can get a level where you get a T-shirt and the album. There's a level where you can get a phone call from the man himself. And there's all other sorts of things. You can get a Skype call from Kevin. You can get some poetry from Kevin. You can also, if you want to get some friends together and throw in a little bit, you can actually get Kevin Max to come to wherever you live. He'll do a show for you. So I would definitely encourage you to check this album out. I really enjoyed this album. This is something that I've seen him headed towards this direction musically over the last 4 or 5 years, and I think he's finally living up to kind of what he wants to do, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about where this album is headed. I would really encourage you guys to check this out. You can get the digital copy for $10. Definitely worth it, for sure. But if you can, support the artist. He's definitely deserving of that. This is definitely an album that lives up to the hype. Playing Games with the Shadows. Check it out on pledgemusic.com. Definitely worth it. But I guess that's probably all that we have. I hope you enjoyed the interviews. We will be back again sometime We do kind of have something in the water with Kevin. I don't want to give away too much, but we'll be back again. Thanks again for checking this out. Give us a nice review on iTunes. We'll talk to you later.
Don't forget
Peace.
to tip your waiters and waitresses. Thanks.